Welcome back with Champion Garage. I'm Miles Wilson here, and a little bit different look than you're used to seeing. I had a little bit of camera difficulties today, and I was going to make this video the final video in the series, but with again the camera troubles, I'm going to go ahead and bump this up to number 3. So the 4th episode, which will be back in the shop with tools. We'll conclude the how to start a garage series. Now, this video here is mainly going to be about the business aspect of how to start your garage. And, we talk oftentimes about what's the best way to, get started with tools, with the building. This is as equal as a part. So really the 4 sections, the beginner series of all this, they're all going to play an equal part. To be honest with you, this one might be more important than a lot of the other videos, because if you don't have the business side of things, if you don't know how to watch your expenses and watch the income and that sort of thing, you can really get into trouble. So I'm going to go ahead and pan to the next screen here. And so one of the things, that you're going to have as a business is a good computer. And, I've got my desktop pulled up here, a folder on my desktop. And, I've got some, random things, as you can see over here. Some branding things that I have, some inspections, and it's good to have these sorts of things. You as an individual, if you're going to start this, you're going to be starting this. Most of the time you don't have an accountant or that sort of thing. So I'm going to start off first with our invoicing, because, again, it's pretty important to have those sorts of things. And, let me get it pulled up here. All right. So, again, I need to change my logo, by the way. I'll probably do that while we're on here. So, you've got to come up with an invoice. This is simple. This is something that doesn't really cost you anything. Like for instance, I'm going to change this image while we're here. So, for example, I started off as a equipment dealership, so now I am more focused towards cars. I needed to change that. We're going to save that. So you need to be familiar with computers. Let's start off with that. Looking at this here, this is simple. This is a Word document, and every piece of this Word document I have made. You also need to be familiar with, let me move this over so you can see this. I'll get started on the invoice in a second, but I want to show you some things. You need to be familiar with a computer overall. I'm running a couple screens, so bear with me. If you're in the state of Kentucky, you've got to get started, with getting registered. And, you need to be talking to a tax, person as far as that goes. I'm not going to show you my profile here, but you gotta keep up on the up and up in the state of Kentucky or whatever state you're associated with. I'm an LLC in the state of Kentucky, so you need to look at your state as far as that goes. In my opinion, I've got an accountant I use, and her card stays on my desk. So I use that. If I need her, I call her. Okay, let's go back to the invoice. So, these are things that you need. I've kind of just got a generic date. We're at 11/16 today. I change that every time I create an invoice. So let's just start with the process. Let's start with what you're going to do, when you complete a job. This is the unfortunate part about being a business owner, is the paperwork. To be honest with you, I kind of enjoy it. This is kind of some of the things that I did as a service rep, was look at invoices and that sort of thing. So I had a little bit of experience. What I like, though, is the internet has so much information about how to do some of this. Probably this is one of my fortes, and this doesn't just have to be mechanics. This can go this can go any type of operation. You have my phone number in there. Where we're located. I put my, name, and then my logo is just kind of how I've designed the page. And then, as a template here, we start out with how much labor. And you always need an invoice number, to track things. Have your checks, that sort of thing, made out to whoever, who to contact, and then, whatever you want to put at the end. Now, when getting this started, you always have your customer, which I do a lot of this in capital letters, just kind of give you an idea how I would figure one out. Turned rotors, bled brakes, verify. I still can't type. Okay, there we go. And you can add more to that, obviously. So, that kind of gets, you need to tell customers what you've done. You need transparency. So when you're looking at this, make sure that, you're saying everything that you need to say, documenting all the fixes that you've done. Because again, these people need to know what you've done, and it needs to be documented. Now, let me come back to us. Let's see here. I can't remember the quick tab for this. Okay. All right. Let me show you something. So when you get, there's always needs to be a paper trail, when you're doing this, because again, there's software fails, computers fail. Do you have it backed up? My opinion is get a hard drive, back up, what you're saving. Not only that, but have a paper copy. So I've got Q3, Q4. Actually, to be honest with you, I think this is just Q4. And I keep I keep every invoice that when a customer comes through. Also, if I did an inspection, I keep a copy of the inspection. And then also keep a copy of the time card with every invoice. So, in my opinion, you need to do that. And then you'll notice, too, at the top of these, I can't get my camera to focus. There it goes. The invoice number. So, it helps keep track. It helps you keep track of what to do there. When starting this is how do you keep everybody in line? How do you keep all of your paperwork right? And to me, the easiest way is to be as simple as possible. So a Word document. So if you've got a computer, you just simply get, the Microsoft package for Word and Excel. It's not very expensive. It's probably $100 or less. Probably one of the cheapest things you'll buy. And you just create your own. You think, well, I can't do that. If you go up here to File, I think it is, and you start a new one, there's so many templates that are out there. Just look at this. I mean, there's so many things that you can cater to what you're looking for, and you can do a search on that. You can just type in invoice, and to be honest with you, I think that's what I did. I didn't build this completely on my own, I don't think. I think I had a little bit of a help, and then I catered it to meet my business. And that's something too you can get some help on. You don't always have to come up with this on your own. So when you're going through, you need to figure up your units. So let's just call it simple. Let's just say we put in 150 work units, and let's just say you're a 60 an hour rate shop. That is, it's $150 because $60 an hour is $1 a minute. So it becomes easier to figure. Another thing, you need a good calculator on computer. Good thing is that these computers, they come with a calculator. So, if you're doing some expenses in regards to, there you go, you can see it. So if you are running, say, okay, well, my labor rate is, $85 an hour, and I put in, and normally I figure everything by minutes. So, like, let me show you something. So if I'm running my computer here, and so I go use this website. It's pretty handy. Calculatorhours.com. So I use everything by a time clock. So, let's just say I work from 8 to 8, 53. Started on it and finished up on that one at 8:37 or 11:37. Calculate. It's 2 hours and 44 minutes. And so that's, in minutes, and that's what I look at is how much units I'm putting in. So that is 120 plus 40, 164. So 164. So what you would do to figure, and there might be a simpler way. I'm just kind of showing you what I do. So 164 divided by 60 is 2.73, and we said our shop rate, labor rate was $80. That turns out to be $218.67. And so, to find out your labor rate, if you're wanting to, figure that out, what do you charge a minute? You would just clear this out, and you would take 80 divided by 60, and you're charging $1 and a 0.333, a minute. So, I want people to understand, like, for me, my labor rate currently in my area is pretty comparable. It's $60 an hour. So it's $1 a minute. So if it's 80, then it's $1.3 a minute. So you would see that right there at the unit price. So, you've got to figure this out. In regards to labor rate, the best thing to do is to call 3 or 4 shops locally to you that are pretty well established, pretty well successful, and see what their labor rates are. And they need to be comparative of what you're doing. So if, you just look at these shops that are just tire changing shops and they do maybe alignment, that's a completely different rate. And they probably do flat rates too. They don't just charge a set rate. And most time, depending on what you're going to be doing, you're not going to run into that. You're not, depending on what kind of tech you are, you've got to compare. I'm full on diagnostic, full repair here, and it depends on your experience too. My opinion is I'm going to charge more than probably other people around because they're going to get better work with me. At the end of the day, I've got more experience than 9 out of 10 people around here. Now, that being said, there is some people that work with a dealer and they work on something specific. They're going to be better than me on something specific. Like maybe a late model something. They work at a dealer. They've got that software. Yeah, they're going to have more advantage than me because they have that software. But if you put me, as far as my capability, you put me with somebody with the same stuff, you're going to have to run for your money. Okay, now let's talk about consumables because that's another important thing. Looking at your shop, you're going to have consumables. You're going to have shop supplies. And I used to call this, I need to call it service supplies because if you go out, people say, well, why should I pay for service or shop supplies when you're out in the field? Look, it's consumables. Maybe I just need to change it to that. You've got things you have to pay for. And what I mean by that is, when you're running your shop, you have things that customers, use. Maybe let's just take brake clean, for example, or parts cleaner, and you don't use a whole can. You can't charge them unless you use the can. So you can't charge them for brake clean unless you use the can. So what do? That's the end of the day. Well, how do I recoup this? Shop towels or like rags. You don't charge people for rags unless they use a whole box. They use the whole thing. It's one thing. You can charge them for it. But if they use a partial, like a partial can of oil or a partial thing, a quarter of a gallon, whatever, a quart of antifreeze out of a gallon, you cannot charge them for the whole gallon. You can. I'm sure there's people that do, but I'm not going to do that. So I developed this consumable thing. And each shop does it different. It just depends. But normally it's a fraction or percentage of the labor rate. Whatever that is. I've seen people as high. I've seen it pretty high before. I've seen it pretty low before. So you need to figure out what that is. And you need to cap at it too, because some bills can be so expensive that needs to be a cap, because I mean that could get, let's just say you're a 10% type guy, 150. Well, that's $15. Yeah, but if that's 1,500, well, it's $150. Now that's a pretty big price for consumables. So you need to maybe look at that cap. It may be like a $50 or $45 cap. I know most big dealerships in the equipment industry, they've got a $45 cap on consumables. So just be thinking about those things. Parts, and that can, like I said, include brake clean, spark plugs, stuff like that. What are you charging for that? How many are you getting? Are we using all of it, and this and that sort of thing? So you got to put that in there. And that being said, you've also got to make money, because you're going to get the parts and that sort of thing. And most of the time, where you buy parts, there's some, you save money as a vendor, I guess you could say, a location in which that you're doing business. And so you'll save money, by buying a bunch. My opinion is try to find a location in your area, and if they've got the parts, if it's good quality parts, my opinion is do business with them, because it's going to pay off. The more you buy, such as like O'Reilly's, the more you buy, what you could be getting a spark plug at, let's say, $5 a spark plug, or like what would be $10 a spark plug. Now you're getting them at, $5 a spark plug. So you can make a little money off of them. Whatever your markup is on parts, there needs to be a markup. Do not mark your parts up. You have to mark your parts up. You have to make money. We are making money on parts, and we're making money on service. It's those two things that you make money. Now, that being said, if you're at a place that you're not making any markup, if you're not getting it at a commercial, rate, you're really making it hard on your customers. But I'll tell you, I do enough business with places like O'Reilly's that I can make enough money on my end, and it still be cheaper to go through me than it would be to go buy it for yourself at O'Reilly's. So it does pay off to do that, to go and do business with these local places in your hometown. Okay, so here we are. We've verified the customer here, and we fixed him up, and now we're at, say, invoice 120 or 158. We've got that documented here. Now it comes to the point. It's like, okay, now what? Now here's the neat thing. Depending on how many parts you buy, obviously you got these little tabs here. You can obviously make a couple pages to save ink a lot of times and save paper. We're always looking at that. Everything's expensive. Ink for these printers is high. You've got the ability to print both sides, and then however many copies. I always print 2 copies. I get one for myself and then one for my customers. Okay, so we get that done. All right, now it's like, okay, we have brake clean. We replaced the brakes. So let's say we just did we got 2 cans of brake clean we used, and we're going to charge $5 for those. So we got 2, so that's 10. And let's say our brake job for the front end there was $65. Let's say it's even flat rate. Okay. Shop supplies. Let's just say it's 10%. So we're going to say about $7. Okay, brake clean. We got $10 in brake clean brakes. We're going to say those were after our markup, whatever that was. We'll say that's $35. We turned both front rotors, so we're going to rotor turn. We're going to say that's about $35 a piece, and that ends up being $70. Okay, so this is starting to look like a bill, right? I guess I guess I'll leave those open. Normally those are not there. So, you would then figure it up, get your calculator out and figure this total bill here. Let's just, for time's sake, we're going to say it's, $156. So then you got your tax, 0.06, whatever that is. I don't know what that, let's say tax on that's $25. Then you figure your total bill, whatever it is there. Let's see. 11 and 8, 181. All right, tax and everything's 181 out the door. All right, where tax was 25.61, 181.61 out the door. Now, that's it, right? No, you're not even close to done. Okay, so the next thing, you've got to have something like this. So we're going to say this is fourth quarter. So fourth quarter starts at the beginning of October. So 1 October 2022 to, 31st of December 2022. Okay, so we just did this brake job, right? So you had parts. You then, let's say today's 11/16, we put in some parts. 11/16, we bought parts. We bought brakes, brake pads, and we also had the rotors. Brake pads, rotors turned. Okay, so now this little sheet here is one that I come up with, made on my own, and this is what I send to my tax person. A lot of people say, well, now you can send, all your paperwork to the tax person. Your tax person is not going to be happy. They're going to send you you need to come up with something else. This ain't going to work. I'm not going to file all this paperwork. And you're making your life even harder, too. So, we've got the deductions. Deductions, it includes parts. Parts are deductions. So, first is every day, at the end of your day, you need to come in and you need to start putting in, documentation around, what you're buying, whatever it is. Like, let's say the same day I got fuel for company vehicle or truck. We'll say truck. And it was $56.71. And, the rotors, all that stuff, we figured it up a minute ago. But this is before your uptick. So this is whatever your receipt says. So if you're looking at me here in the bottom left corner, whatever your receipt's saying, from O'Reilly's or whatever, this is where you're putting it in here. So this would be customer parts. So we're going to put in, it was, total $50. And it's probably more than that. Yeah, it's probably the rotor's turn. Let's see, $75. $75. And, and don't forget, too, be set up as an LLC or whatever, however you're going to run your business, because, at this point, you need to, you don't need to be paying taxes on this because this is a resale type thing. So anything like that, you don't need to be paying taxes on. They only need to be paying taxes one time. So this is a tax exempt thing when you go to buy your parts. So here we are. We're starting to build our expense report. Now again, this is a daily thing, and you have to separate these per quarter. So you have to delete all the, file this, delete all the information, and then put in the new, so we're going to start in January. It's going to go to January, February, and full of March, and that's quarter number 1. Now, doing these is going to depend on, how this is all broken up is going to depend on, your state. Some people do taxes once a year. Hey, my state made me do it, 4 times a year. So this is how you stay on the up and up. This is how you're keeping everything that you have in order. Now, that being said, I also have a folder down here for paper copies, okay? That's paper copies of all these receipts. So when you go somewhere as a business owner, you keep the receipts. You get the receipts. You've got to be on the up and up, because I'm telling you, the government can come in and they can scald your hide. And so I try to be as close as I can when it comes doing this and doing it correctly. All right. So that's just part of this page. The other part that I have at the bottom, same thing, you're going to have to put what quarter it's at, is, okay, today we just did a brake job, right? All right, and it was invoice. Let's go back to that invoice 156, I think, something like that. Maybe that's how much it was. Oops, 158. Okay, so we got an invoice 158. Your subtotal, so that's your total before taxes. What am I doing? Was 156. And then your taxes was 2561. So 156, 2561. All right. This is cool. This is what you want. Okay, well, that's easy, right? Yeah, it is. And the key down here is to have this. And what this does, it shows you how much money you're making. So, this is how much I got to pay in taxes. Sales tax when tax time comes, when your quarter's up. These will get added up as time goes on. And so your grand total, which is over here. So this would be your subtotal and your taxes. Okay, so far we're $181.61. Expenses is cost us so far in fuel and parts $131.71, and after expenses were $49.90 above. Now, do not forget, you owe this money. Uncle Sam gets his. So you can just simply do the math, what are you looking like? Now, I will tell you, the first 2 years, this number is going to probably be in the negative. You're buying so much. But the good thing is about buying these things, tools and stuff like that, it's deductions. But this kind of just sees where your head is as far as the water goes. Now, remember, your water, your insurance, your company phone, your electric, your internet, all those are deductions, so you could, you can start to go back over here and you can start to fill things in, on 11/18, which is 2 days from now. I'm going to pay the internet bill, internet, and it's, let's say, $80, and I put in my miscellaneous field. Well, also on 11/18, I did a, business repair. Let's say I did a U-joint or something like that in my truck. Oops, put that over here. What it was, U-joint, and then we did the U-joint was $30. And so you get these expenses, and they start to add up. But the good thing is that's deductions. Now whatever you're making, profitability wise, that's obviously taxable income. So, there's a lot of things you can do, and I'm not a, CPA or nothing like that, but just remember, I'm not trying to tell you how you do your business or anything like that, but now this is how you get started, and remember, deductions are good, to some degree, but you got to make money as well. Now, that being said, I didn't have it in here, but there's a place in here that you need to look at when it comes to paychecks. Okay, you need to be able to keep track of paychecks, whether it's another sheet or how much are you paying yourself a week, whether it's $500 a week or more, depending on how profitable you are. That's also it's not really a deduction, but I do put it in the deductions over here, so if I put on 2000, blah, 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 2022, I'm paid myself, and in the miscellaneous, I put $250 or $500 or whatever, and you need to kind of do this on a regular basis. You need to pay yourself. You can't survive, and you have to. I mean, you can't survive without it. Okay, so I talked about the calculator. I talked about the paperwork side of things. The other thing, in my opinion, to be successful is you need to have some sort of social media. When we're on Facebook here, we need to have a way to advertise, our shop, how to get promoted, how people see people, how people can see how you're doing. People will look at these sorts of things. So, in my opinion, try to be somewhat engaged when it comes to social media. Now, are you going to take off straight out the gate? No, but in my opinion, it's best to try to get people to get a following, because here's the thing: word of mouth is great, and that's basically what this is. You have this clientele being built up, and you need to show that. You need to document that. People need to know what type of work you do, and at that rate, do good work, because when you do good work, people are happy. And I ask people, say, hey, would you do this? We're going to do a promotion for too long, where we're going to do like a shirt giveaway and then like $50 off the next repair. So I mean that's good. I mean that's and it generates income for you as well. So I mean, social media is a great thing. That's one of the reasons why I've started this YouTube channel. One, I want to help people. I was in the same condition. I did not have the most of support, and I really wanted to showcase, what I had really a desire to do, and that was to fix and do performance work. I enjoy working on that kind of thing. It's been a rocky road, but it's been worth it. We're in the winter time now, which in my opinion will be the worst season. Q4, Q1, mainly Q1, January, February time frame, people were kind of a little pinched for money. So we'll see what happens. That's the slow time. But you know what? It's been already, I have been more than blessed. The key is getting out there and doing work. People, you're in an industry. Don't let people discourage you. If you do good work and you're capable, you're in an industry where people, it's just like going to a nurse or going to a doctor. People have to have things repaired. And if you are capable, people will come. If you do great work or good work, people will come. So don't worry about that. Don't worry about, the doubters. You watch the videos number 1, 2, this will be number 3, and number 4, and you'll have a good little understanding at how to get started. This is about as simple as a way as I can show you on the computer here. Is it all my secrets? No, but it should help you get a feel to how to do business, even without any formal training. I have no formal training. Well, to some degree, I have no formal training. I've not been to college. I've been to the school of hard knocks, I guess you could say. And so that's, kind of where I have learned to do the things in which I've done. So I'll tell you some neat things that ain't bad to have as a receipt book. Now my customers don't get these, but sometimes you run into situations where you just need a paper copy. A receipt book is a good thing to have. I use these for paychecks for myself. I just write myself a receipt. So that's kind of a way for a pay stub. That's a cheap way out. Again, is this the way your state is going to operate? Is this the way you're going to operate? I don't know. But I will tell you that it works for me and it works for the state, and that's what makes me happy, and it's as simple as a way as I can get. So we'll catch you all on the next time. Appreciate you watching. We would encourage you to like, subscribe, and comment, and we'll see you in the future videos.